Jiga? Kyone. So after some of the more basic blocks, things like the high block, side block, low block, are a few more advanced techniques that are still useful. So one of these is the hammer block. So you might find yourself using this one, maybe not in sparring, but it appears in some of the forums, and you'll need to know it for your higher promotions. So the hammer block, you can practice it on sitting stance, going from the outside to the inside. So we're hitting with the outer forearm here. So this is, remember, the inner forearm. This is the outer forearm, same part of the hand, same part of the arm that we use on the low block and the high block. This time we're starting out here. You can see my arm, and I'm bringing it in. So this is middle section. So your fist should be at about chin level maybe. Bring it from out to in, out to in. You need to really turn your shoulder on this. So the reason we call this a hammer block is because it's similar to a hammer strike. You remember the hammer strike where the forefist is using the bottom of the fist here. With the hammer block, we're coming in like this. So it almost looks like we're blocking with the hand, but we're really blocking with the forearm. So we're coming from out to in, out to in, out to in. So the full name would be inward outer forearm middle section block, but we normally just call it hammer block. So there's another way to block with the forearm on the outside here, middle section, and that's the outer forearm middle section block. We just call it that. We don't have a special name for it really. This appears in the Dosan form, and you might also just want to know it. So for that block, it looks very similar to a side block, but instead of using the inner forearm, we're using the outer forearm. So you can practice this on walking stance. So as you can see, I'm looking at the back of my hand, hitting with the inner forearm. I come across under the elbow, just like on a side block. And I don't want to go too far out when I block. I just want to stop as far as it takes to direct a punch away from my body. So you can also do a combination of this one. You can try block, punch, punch. So that's the middle section outer forearm block. And then after that, we have the guarding blocks. So the guarding blocks are probably our first technique where we're using two hands at a time in the technique. So the simplest guarding block is just the forearm guarding block. So it looks a lot like a fighting stance. You still want your arms out here for a fighting stance. This is the forearm guarding block. So in the front, you can see I'm blocking middle section, just like the outer forearm middle section block. But I also have this hand here at my chest instead of at my ribs. So I have this arm protecting my chest. So I step out. So the more common version of this can be found in a lot more forms, which is the knife hand guarding block. So this time, instead of using our forearms to block, we're using a knife hand, so the blade of our hand, and probably our forearms as well. So you see I've got my hand out in front of me. I'm blocking middle section once again, so my fingertips are just about lined up with my chin. You can practice this on L stance if you want. And I've got my other knife hand back here, right on my chest. Step in. And you see I have my wrist straight. You don't want to bend your wrist, keep it straight. I got my elbow bent when it comes out in front of me. So your arm is only bending in one place, right at the elbow here. And the way you get power out of this technique, or the way you get good sound out of it, is by striking your chest. So you can do that very lightly. And you won't want to do that with the blade of your hand. That has a lot more power behind it. So you can hit with the open hand. See, when I do this, I hit with the open hand, and then I adjust it. So that's a knife hand guarding block. So that is very important. It'll show up in a lot of different forms, so keep practicing. And another thing you can practice with is simply replacing the hand in all of your blocks with the knife hand. So we can do this for any technique. We can do it for a low block. Using the knife hand, we can do it for a high block. Maybe a side block if we use the ridge hand. I don't know if that shows up anywhere, but getting used to using the knife hand block is very important because that'll also show up in the higher up forms. So those are the knife hand blocks. We did the knife hand guarding block. We also did the hammer block and the outer forearm block. So these show up mostly in forms. When you get to sparring, you can use a little bit of all of them. You don't need to use predefined blocks in sparring. It might help you to be exposed to lots of different types of blocks, but you most likely won't be using a block like this when you're sparring. You'll be doing whatever you need to do to dodge the technique, get out of the way, or block however you can in the moment. But it's very good to be exposed to lots of different blocks, and it'll help you as you go along to your forms. Cheerio! Kyungne! Pyosan. Thank you.